college football playoff. A lot of conversations going on behind the scenes. Greg Sankey told Dan Patrick's radio show just a couple of days ago that he was scheduled to have a conference call with the three other Power Four commissioners. That was supposed to take place, I believe, on yesterday. Joining us now on the Higginbotham hotline to try to help us out, to try to figure out what is next in the wonderful world of the college football playoff, is the outstanding reporter, author, John Talty from CBS Sports joins us here on Three Man Front. John, it's good to see that you survived Destin, Florida. Was it a complete waste of time, or did you at least get a chance to work on a tan and make Feinbaum buy you a meal?
I don't think I got either of those two things.
What?
So I guess it is somewhat of a failure. But I think it was interesting in that the way things tracked over the course of that week. It felt like this is kind of a waste. It's kind of a waste. And then by the end, it was like, well, this is like in some ways the fact that nothing was done was interesting, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But the way things are shifting, I think it's setting up for maybe a more interesting outcome than I was expecting starting the week. So, with these things, there's always a lot of talk, a lot of bluster, very little actual resolution. I've been going these things for years. Very rarely does anything major actually come out of them. But I think with just some of the big things that are swirling around college sports right now, some of what happened down in Destin has the opportunity to really impact the future of college football.
And John, you wrote about it and you laid it out beautifully. For our listeners, tell us how the AQ model initially gained traction.
Yeah, so this is something that the Big Ten has been pushing, for a while now. But certainly, since Tony Petitti's been running the Big Ten, this has been a big, priority for him. They proposed it more than a year ago, didn't really gain any traction initially. And I think as time went on, there was, more and more realization that there might be an issue with the selection committee process. That's really at the kind of the crux of so much of what's happening right now. And, as the Big Ten and the SEC a year ago essentially negotiated control over the college football playoff for the foreseeable future, they've worked closer and closer together. And from talking to people in both Big Ten and SEC, they've had these two kind of historic joint meetings, first in Nashville back in October. I was there for that one. They had a follow-up in February in New Orleans. And I think that's where the Big Ten really made their pitch as to here's why we're a believer in terms of automatic qualifiers. This is why we think it makes sense. Here's the benefits that we see coming from it. And, from people I talked to that were in that meetings, it resonated. I think, even just the word automatic qualifier, I think has kind of a negative connotation. And I think a lot of SEC people felt that way, certainly going into those meetings. And I think coming out of them, they realized, all right, there's actually some benefits to us to doing this. And so flash forward to, heading into those SEC spring meetings, that's where the momentum was. By the end of the week, that's not where it was. But at the beginning, it felt like, people were increasingly confident that the SEC would move to non-conference games. And people felt like heading into that week, the SEC was, pretty close to being on board with this Big Ten automatic qualifier idea. And again, by Thursday afternoon, it was trending the other way.
John, how surprised were you that Commissioner Sankey on Monday, before the meetings officially got underway, that he kind of gave that shot across the bow towards his teammates there in the Power Four Conference Commissioner room in regards to where the SEC currently stands? And listen, he was a little irritated at Brandon Marcello and some other reporters that kind of asked him some pointed questions. How surprised are you with his, his overall demeanor last week when he was asked about some of this?
Yeah, it was surprising. I think that, Greg is pretty buttoned up. I think he's pretty careful about what he says. I don't think he says, very much without a real clear plan behind it or intention. And it felt like, he was off message in that day. I think he was frustrated about, multiple things. It's clear that the statements made by ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips and Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark about being for the greater good of the game had gotten under his skin, and it felt like he, it reminded me a little bit at a much smaller level to the movie A Few Good Men. I mean, he was waiting for someone to kind of push that button on him, and he went a little bit Jack Nicholson mode on people when he started taking some shots. So that was surprising. I think the rest of the week, he talked again Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, much more typical Sankey, felt more relaxed. He had some sarcastic jabs, things that kind of remind you of who he really is. But Monday felt like a mistake to me, and generated a lot of headlines, but not necessarily the headlines that I think he wanted to generate that day.
John, we talk about it on the show. I know it's discussed. I'm just surprised that there's not more of a point of emphasis from coaches and people who do this, demanding this, and it's transparency with the strength of schedule and the analytics that the College Football Playoff Committee is viewing, but they don't want to share with the rest of the world. Why not? Why do you believe that everybody is just taking this as all right, well, we'll just move on. That's never going to happen, and then keep fighting on all these other issues where it seemed like if we get more transparency, that would certainly help with some of the bickering when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in transparency, and I think this has been an issue that's been brewing for a while. The great Dennis Dodd and I did a story back in December laying out that the Big Ten and SEC had real concerns about the selection committee, and that was before they even made their final decisions, which of course left out Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. But this has been building for a while, and I think Commissioner Sankey's talked about it. Some in depth, and I think he even brought it up with Dan Patrick too. That we get sometimes so locked into the format, how many teams are getting in, and all that kind of stuff that I don't know that much effort or thought has been put into how we started things in 2014, if that's still the right way of doing things. So I think, I've gone through kind of the mock selection committee process out in Dallas. And, I think it was enlightening to me that I wish I had access to all the data that they have. Because it does, when you're in the room, it does feel like it makes sense when you see the data and all that kind of stuff. It's harder to parse it when you're outside that room. But I think there are a couple key things. I think, one, just the idea of finding the best teams is very ambiguous. And I think especially the committee who decides that changes year over year. So, you could put the three of us in the room and, how we determine who the best team is for 2-3 years might be one way. And then you replace us with Feinbaum, Marcello, and Ross Dellinger, and they might feel the best teams are different and how they judge it. So that's what you've seen, some of these inconsistent decisions or processes. And I think it's a part because the people have changed. And I think the second thing, and this is something that goes back to kind of like the madman line, like that's what the money's for. But I don't think the weekly playoff rankings is a good thing for the process at all. In some ways, it's transparent, but it boxes them into decisions. And I think we saw that really play out last year where, Ward Manuel, the chair of the committee, essentially saying, yeah, Miami can't move up no matter what happens over the weekend. I don't think that's a good thing for the committee to be boxed in that way. Certainly, it elicited a lot of criticism. And it's great for all of us. It gives us something to talk about. Clearly, ESPN likes it. They like having that weekly playoff ranking show to drive the conversation. But I don't think that's been a good thing. And I think that's probably hurt some of how we view this whole process, the way that even week to week, it feels like it doesn't always make sense.
Talking to John Talty, National College Football reporter for CBS Sports, joins us here on the Higginbotham Hotline. All right, so kind of play this out for us, John. How do you think that this plays out up until the June 18th meeting with the College Football Playoff Executive Committee? Will there be any movement? Will we hear anything about this so-called phone call that took place earlier this week between the Power Four commissioners? Are we going to play nice? Are we going to finally get some type of resolution as we head into the summer months?
Yeah, I think there is going to be, I think it's been playing nice. I kind of checked in with some people yesterday. It seems like that call, from what I was told, primarily just about kind of what we're talking about here, strength of schedule, selection committee stuff. Clearly, that's going to be a big priority for that June 18th meeting. We've seen, obviously, whether it's public comments that some commissioners have made or, leaked comments to people like me and Ross and other people. I think we have a sense as to where various different conferences are at in the process right now, what they prefer. But we've seen compromises happen. And so I think the thing that I am most interested in, and I think both myself and, Brandon Marcel have written about this in the last week or so for CBS, is the power, I do think, is in the SEC's hands right now. And they can either go with the AQ model that's preferred by the Big Ten, which, the SEC and Big Ten would both get 4 teams in each year. We already know that the ACC and Big 12 oppose it, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. It's going to be up to the SEC and Big Ten to decide that. If that's if they revert back to that philosophy, then it's pretty easy. If they dig their heels in on 5-11 and the Big Ten digs its heels in on its automatic qualifier playoff method, we might be at a stalemate. And in that case, I think the status quo would continue. So, I think, again, a week or so ago, it felt like kind of close to a foregone conclusion that we were moving to 16 teams. Even, Commissioner Sankey kind of let it slip a couple of times. So it's like, well, in this model, they wouldn't be in the top 16. It was always about 16 and not 14, which had previously had some momentum around it. So I think we've been assuming it's going to go to 16, but the SEC doesn't want to move off its thing, and the Big Ten doesn't want to move off its. We might have another year or so of 12. That's not, I think, what people expected. I think it's not what people want. But if there's no compromise willing to be made, and right now both of those sides are kind of owning what they have, that might be the outcome that ultimately happens. And I don't know that that would be decided June 18th. They have up until December 1 to figure that part out. But certainly it'll be talked about June 18th
John,
in Nashville.
When it comes to these conference calls with the Power Four commissioners and knowing the personalities involved, we like to play out the hypotheticals and how those could go with the different personalities. And you get the statements from your Mark, or occasionally from Jim Phillips, and of course Sankey saying when he has. How do you think those conference calls go? Do you think that it's all pretty civil, or do you think that there's some very pointed complaints and arguments that go on?
I think it's pretty civil overall. I do think the temperature has been heating up a little bit. I think you've seen some of the comments that Commissioner Sankey has made, some of the comments that Brett has made. I've heard from some people over at the Big Ten that weren't exactly thrilled with how some of SEC's meetings played out last week. So I think there's these different things that are building, but I think Greg Sankey had a good anecdote I thought last week where he told a story about talking to the great Roy Kramer, the former SEC commissioner, and Roy told him the story that how there were so many times walking out of meetings where you felt like you're not going to talk to these people for a year or so. That's his fellow commissioners, and then you ultimately always find a way to make it work. And there's been some pretty tense moments over the years. I can think about, the close relationship that Greg Sankey and Bob Bowlesby had, and then the SEC swiping Texas and Oklahoma. That created some hurt feelings in that room for a little bit. But you know what? Guess what happened? They ultimately got there and they're able to expand to 12. So I think it can be awkward at times, but from my understanding, and I've unfortunately never gotten to eavesdrop on that call, though I wish I could. It's all about kind of what you hear after the fact, but I think it's generally pretty polite. Now, like, do those guys, once the call hangs up, maybe complain to people? Yeah, I think that probably does happen. I know it happens, but I think generally speaking, on the call, it's polite, it's businesslike. They understand they have a job to do, and it gets tense from time to time, but it's not unprofessional from my understanding.
So, John, let's assume that the SEC ultimately goes to the 9 conference games. Is it inevitable that the Big Ten and the SEC will come up with this schedule agreement in which both conferences will play each other in football?
I don't think it's inevitable, no. And I think there's open questions with that. I think it makes sense in a lot of ways. I think there's mutual interest. Even Greg Sankey said last week that having a mandate of having a hard Big Ten has to play an SEC team and vice versa each year would be challenging. I think the kind of the wrinkle with this one, and I've written about it a couple of times in the last week or two, is you've got teams like South Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, and Georgia that have these rivalry games with a different conference in the ACC, and that those games they don't want to lose. South Carolina, Clemson, Kentucky, Louisville. Those are great rivalry games. So if you add another game on top, does South Carolina want to play 11 Power 4 games when its peers are not? I don't know that it does. I mean, I know Shane says he's willing to entertain it, but when push comes to shove, I don't know that those schools are going to necessarily want to do that. So I think maybe the compromise, and some people have thrown this out to me recently, is maybe you just mandate that everybody has to play 10 Power 4 games. And so you have an opportunity to try to pair up more and more SEC and Big Ten teams in that model, but you allow the South Carolinas of the world. All right, you already have your 10th Power Four game. That's great, and that also gives school like USC, which maybe it wants to play Notre Dame. It gives you a little bit more leeway. So I think that might be the kind of the compromise mode, but certainly there's multiple big things that have to happen before that happens, and that first and foremost, it's playoff format, and second, it's will the SEC move to 9 conference games? Because right now that does not seem likely in this moment. I think it could happen certainly in the future, but right now it doesn't seem likely for 2026. And from the Big Ten people that I've talked to, they've been pretty clear we're not doing a schedule alliance with the SEC if they don't move to 9 conference games.
So I'm going to circle back to one of the questions Landrum asked you at the beginning of this interview. Do you believe that the 4-4-2-2-1 model is completely dead, or do you think at some point the SEC and the Big Ten will ultimately just bow up and say, you guys voted, gave us the power, this is what we think is best moving forward, and we're going to do what we want to do?
Yeah, I don't think it's dead at all. I think that the Big Ten still feels strongly about that model. We know that the Big Ten has a major say in the future. So I don't think it's gone away at all. And again, I think if you just look at over just the last year plus, it went from not having traction to having a lot of traction to maybe, some diminishing traction momentum right now. They're playing the long game. And I think that the AQ model is really, really important to the Big Ten because of this play-in weekend idea that I think is a big part of what Tony Petitti wants to do, because it's going to generate more money and more attention. It's very much a professional model type approach. They're not backing off of that. So could they ultimately compromise to a 5-11 in the short term? Maybe, but I don't think the AQ model is dead at all. I think they're going to keep pushing to try to see if they can get the SEC back on board. And, again, that could take some time, maybe more time than they expected. But when I've checked back in with Big Ten people over the last week or so, they have not moved off that plan at all. And I think they're willing to let it play out. And again, what I said earlier, if they have to, what I'm hearing is they're willing to play out the status quo. Let's keep 12. The Big Ten's won the last 2 national championships. I think they're pretty okay with what the model is right now if it has to stay that way. And so I don't think that they're going to feel compelled to have to adopt another model that they don't believe is accurate. So that's where I think it gets really interesting. If both the SEC and Big Ten are truly entrenched in their positions, these power conference pairing that we've written so much and talked so much about over the last couple of years about how they've grown closer and closer, that might be some real friction possibilities. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out over the coming months.
Best-selling author, national college sports reporter there at CBS Sports, at Jay Talty on X. John Talty, we always appreciate the time. Thank you, man.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you. John Talty joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
So courtesy GMC in Trussville, they invite you to witness their 9 acres of inventory, the deepest pre-owned inventory you're going to find anywhere in central Alabama. And right now, could not be any big of a surprise to you, our audience, because I tell you about this every single day. They will not be beaten on any price on a brand new GMC. They want you to go to courtesybirmingham.com. They want you to surf the latest deals. They want you to go to other websites at other GMC dealerships, not only in Metro Birmingham across the state of Alabama, but the Southeast. You will not find a better deal on a 4-wheel drive AT4X Sierra 1500, up to $11,000 off MSRP. How about the Sierra 4-wheel drive SLT or the Sierra Denali Ultimates in stock, up to $14,000 off? Those are just 2 small examples of what I'm talking about. Visit them right off of I-459 exit 32 in Trussville, right next to Lowe's. You can't miss them. Or just go to their website, courtesybirmingham.com. Josh Gargis, Drew Lally, fantastic team. They are ready to serve and help you today, put you in a brand new GMC. That's Courtesy GMC in Trussville.
Interesting takeaways from what John Talty just told us. We'll discuss them next on 3-Man Front.
12:23, Jocks 94.5. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we haven't done it in a while. Thought it'd be a good time to. We're going to do some Prices Right.
Yeah!
Woo!
Conrad, could be your first win.
Conrad is winless in the Price is Right. Well, Molly and you guys are what, tied 2-2?
Yeah, I think
Is
so.
that
I
right?
think so, yeah.
Join us in the showcase, Conrad. All kinds of great prizes. You can spin the big wheel.
What's my prize? The 5 years expired death chip?
It's not a death chip.
It gets better with age. It's
Has
like
a
a good
skull
wine.
on it.
It's like a good wine or a radio host.
All right, so after we had John Talty on, what do you think? Do you feel better about where we're heading? Or you still think that we're in a malaise and we don't know where we're going until we get there?
I think that there seems to be a little bit of a direction where we're going. I thought it was interesting when we asked him about the strength of schedule and how, everybody seems to be frustrated. But I guess the frustration for me, and it should be for college football fans, is all the other things that we're talking about, whether it's a 4-4-2-2-1 or a 5-11. There should be a demand, an absolute, we demand this for transparency, because this, I'm not saying you would still have people complaining. You would still have people that came out and they found a problem with however the numbers are computed and data in and data out. But it seems like to me, and I'm certainly not the smartest guy in the world, it seems like to me that this would squash a lot of that. And you say, well, numbers don't lie.
Well, and one thing that Talty brought up that I thought was interesting was when he brought up the fact that last year you had a situation where they came out and said, hey, doesn't matter what happens, these set teams are locked. Like, it doesn't matter what happens the last week of the season.
Yeah.
These are the rankings that are set. And so you have that compared with or combined with no transparency, and people start to go, so you're not going to tell us how you make the rankings, but you are going to definitively tell us that regardless of what happens, hey, this team that's in contention right now, that you actually don't have a shot at making
It's
it.
a lot different
Can't do that.
than if we had an NCAA tournament committee member come on and say, you know what? It doesn't matter. The resume speaks for itself. Whatever they do in this conference tournament, they're still going to be our 1 seed. No, but you're talking about when there's only 12 spots, you're saying that they can't get any higher no matter what happens, no matter what they do. Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, so no result could have impacted how you viewed an opponent they played at a different part in the season. That changes how you evaluate. You can't. Speaking in absolutes like that is always going to get you in trouble.
See, and one area that I do disagree with John, I believe that the Tuesday night show, it needs to be aired. Like, they need to step in front of the public and they need to be asked questions. Now, they need to be more transparent. But the thing that got them in trouble last year is that in week 1, they were setting certain precedents that you believed was going to be the common denominator throughout the rest of the season.
This is how this committee is going to think.
Yes. I mean, we would come on the show on Wednesday and we would pull the transcript and we would read verbatim. And then the very next week, they went completely against what they said the week before. So that's why everyone was going, now, hold on a second. Are you putting Michigan's game control in week 1? Is that more of a factor than Alabama's strength of schedule in the Southeastern Conference? Like what is taking precedence here? Because you said in week 1 it was this, but then in week 3 it was completely different. That was the issue I think most people had, whether you're a Miami Hurricane fan, an Ole Miss Rebel fan, or an Alabama Crimson Tide fan. There was no consistency. Because of no transparency, that's why you weren't getting consistency from the committee.
No, I think that's spot on. And I mean, even we kind of had fun with it last year, but if you remember, there were times last year during those Tuesday night shows towards the end of the season or later in the rankings, you could tell Reese Davis was visibly frustrated with the answers that he was getting, or I guess the lack of substance in the answers that he was getting, because he's asking questions that everyone at home is screaming at their TV. Yes, why are you ranking this team one way and this team another way? And they can't explain themselves. So I'm with you. If you're going to do that Tuesday show, I think you do it, but it needs to be more of a put the pressure on the committee to answer some real questions about why things are the way that they are, not just, oh, well, their game control in week 2 against Maryland was so impressive. Oh,
Again,
Nobody cares about that.
I'm a conspiracy theorist, but the lack of transparency with the strength of schedule tells me that if there's a hidden agenda or if it's something political, it's a CYA.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I view it.
And even if nothing's going on, it gives the illusion that maybe there is.
Right.
Here's what they need to do. Now, I know he can't be on the college football playoff committee, but once his time is done as the board czar, Tom Homan needs to be the spokesperson for the CFP.
Ooh.
He needs to come on every Tuesday night because he ain't going to put up with no bull crap. Like, he is going to absolutely be a ball buster, and he's going to go on there and he's
Can
going to
I finish, Reese?
He is going to absolutely tell you, this is why we voted. This is why this team is ranked here. Shut up. Let's move on. Next question. That's what you need. You know, these athletic directors that get on there and they're so afraid that they're going to upset somebody, one of their proteges or one of the people in their business. Come on, just be upfront with us. We can handle it. Just tell us the truth. We might not like it, but just tell us what's going on.
And to be fair, and the things that's happened on his watch at his particular school, Ward Manuel is probably not the guy that you need to be the face and the voice of that committee.
No,
not at all. Before we run a break, this was an interesting day in history. Back in 2021, this is really crazy the way these numbers kind of fell in. Montana Fouts retired 21 of 21 batters on her 21st birthday for the first perfect game in the Women's College World Series in 21 years.
Whoa!
So in 2021, she turns 21. She retires 21 of 21 batters, and she has the first perfect game in the College World Series in 21 years.
That's pretty cool.
That's so cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What was her NIL?
Not enough.
$21.
And she's still playing pro softball, I saw, where I think Major League Baseball is now investing in the professional softball, and Montana Fouts is one of the star pitchers.
Yep.
So
Seems to be doing pretty well.
good for her.
She'll be the next Jenny Finch. We'll see her at the All-Star game every year.
Probably will.
Fingers crossed.
When we come back on Three Man Front, we will go to our favorite concession stand near you. We will go back in time a little bit.
Oh.
Not recent, but back in time. We'll do some Prices Right next on Three Man Front. It is 1234, Jocks 94.5. If you're familiar with this radio program at times, we play a game called Price is Right. And it's just like the TV show. What I do is we find some concession prices, sometimes around the world, sometimes in our own backyard. And I basically have the menu in front of me, and then I ask my teammates for them to give me their potential price. And it's just like the Price is Right. It's closest to the actual number without going over. So if you go over, then you obviously don't win that particular price.
For TV purposes, I'd like to get some of the really big name tags.
Yeah, we need to do that for you too.
I can work on that.
Okay.
Yeah. You like crafts.
I do.
Yeah, you can do that.
I wasn't going to put it on you on the air, but I did think back to how well you did the wall bracket. And I thought Molly's
Thank
good
you.
at crafts. She'd be really good at this.
Love a good craft.
But the reason why people love this segment is because of the music. It is cutting edge. It is like European club mix type Price is Right themes show music. So,
Who's it owned by? What's the company? Barbara.
Hanna-Barbera?
Hanna-Barbera.
No, I think it was Todd Goodman Productions or something.
Well, no, but I think Hanna-Barbera was the one that, or the something. It doesn't matter.
I know. All right, here we go. You ready? Let's hear the music. There we go.
I love you, Bob.
All right, here we go. I am going to take you to Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois. This is because it's Patrick Isbell's birthday.
Today is?
Today is Patrick Isbell's birthday.
Happy birthday. Sitting next to you.
Yeah. Happy
Patrick
birthday,
Isbell.
Patrick.
Oh, happy
Yeah.
birthday.
We all really messed that up this morning.
But of course, I'm going to have a little
How are we
different
to know?
angle to this concession prices. I can't just give you the straight prices, right?
You just said it.
Oh, no.
1975 concession prices
All right.
Wow.
of
Oh,
Wrigley
man.
Field.
Okay,
This
so
is
everything's
right.
under $1.
Is this right before Nixon? Is this still Gerald Ford?
It's a Gerald Ford.
Or not Nixon? I meant Carter. But
This
yeah.
is before Carter.
Okay. After Nixon, Gerald Ford.
Yeah. Nixon has resigned. Gerald Ford is the acting president
Okay.
before he loses to Carter in 76.
I was not alive, so
I was about to say,
don't
is
think
the-
that I have an advantage.
Well, I was just like, so economy good or bad?
Yeah.
Mid 70s, not very good.
Not very
Okay.
good. Okay.
Late 70s, awful.
Okay.
Okay. But this is, you said 75.
1975
Okay.
Wrigley Field concession prices. I just want a good old hot dog. What's it going to cost you?
1975 Wrigley hot dog. $2.50.
Okay.
See, now I'm going to give a number. Molly's going to go in the middle, and she's going to get it. 75 cents.
See, I was thinking like 50 cents.
What's your answers? 250?
$2.50.
75 cents.
I go 50.
50 cents. Molly nailed it.
Gah! I'm never going to win this game.
All right. What if you want a corned beef sandwich?
Corned beef.
Molly, you go first.
I'll go 75 cents.
75 cents. Landrum.
$1.75, Bob.
Conrad?
$2.
75 cents.
Ugh.
Put me in the 70s. I like these prices.
What if you just wanted a bratwurst sandwich from the concession stand at Wrigley?
It's probably between 50 and 75 cents.
Bratwurst sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Conrad.
$2.
Molly.
I'll go $1.
101.
50 cents.
We're all over.
So we're all wrong.
So who won that one? Oh, nobody. Yeah.
No one. Everybody was over.
Tell you what, they're taking care of their fans there.
Italian beef sandwich.
Ooh.
Peppers.
No peppers.
Italian beef sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go 60 cents.
Oh, Molly going 60 cents.
61 cents.
Of course.
Oh, I
of
see
course.
what he's
We're
doing.
I gotta
doing
get on
this
the board.
again, huh?
I got to get on the board.
59 cents.
80 cents.
Woo!
Landrum gets on the board with the win.
You said it was 80?
80 cents.
Wow.
I'll
I
take
just want some French fries.
So nothing's been over $1 yet, has it? No.
I just want some French fries.
Landrum.
$19.75 concession stand Wrigley Field.
50 cents.
30 cents.
35.
30 cents. Conrad gets on the
There
board.
you,
Conrad.
there you go.
Finally.
You want a piece of sausage pizza.
Ooh.
$0.50.
I go 60.
$0.61.
60 cents.
Haha, sucker.
She's talking smack to you.
Well, he always does that to me. I'll guess and I'll guess one over.
Okay, I know that Conrad could not go purchase these, but
with tax, it would have been.
But if Landrum wants some salted in-shell peanuts,
Yeah.
what's it going to cost you?
25 cents.
26 cents.
Oh,
24 cents.
25 cents.
That's about-
Yeah.
Sucker!
So Landrum nails it.
He's joking.
Sorry.
You know, I don't know if I've ever seen this at a concession stand window, but in 1975 in Chicago, you could get some apple taffy.
Oh.
I love my apple taffy. Apple taffy.
Apple taffy at a Cubs game, 1975. And now Landrum can't talk the rest of the show because he yelled at Molly.
That was funny.
Who's up first?
You got it right last time.
Apple taffy, how much?
Apple taffy for a strand of that. 15 cents.
See, that's what 10 cents.
Oh, I was going to go 10. 11.
30.
Oh, wow.
It's more expensive than fries?
That's crazy.
I think I'm in the lead now.
You want
Y'all are tied.
We're
you
tied,
want a
yeah.
12-ounce Schlitz beer.
Yeah.
Beer in 1975?
Let's see. You could get a 6-pack back then for probably $2 change.
75 cents.
50 cents.
80 cents.
65 cents. All right, so what do we got? What's the score?
Landrum has 4, Molly has 3, and I have 1.
All right, this was a different time in 1975, but if you wanted a good old pack of cigarettes, they're at the Wrigley Field concession stand. How much?
heater, Ricky.
How much is a pack of cigarettes at Wrigley Field?
What kind?
Doesn't say. It says pack of cigarettes.
That's a good question.
Pack of smokes.
Mm-hmm.
$1.
75 cents.
Like 50 cents.
65 cents.
That means I got it. Yay.
Closet smoker.
You know, back in the day, Wrigley Field was owned by Wrigley's. If you wanted a 7-stick pack of gum at the concession stand, how much?
I'm going to guess 10 cents.
15 cents.
They were giving that stuff away. It was promotional. 9 cents.
You nailed it.
Good job, Conrad.
Yes. All right, Pat, do we have 2 more that I can get correct?
Okay, so when you went to your concession stand in 1975, not only could you buy a pack of cigarettes, gum, and a piece of sausage pizza, but you also could buy some souvenirs
Ooh.
at the concession stand. What if you wanted a Cubs bobblehead?
They had those back then.
$2.50.
$1.99.
Oh, I saw what you did there.
$2.
$2.25.
God, he can't keep getting away with this.
All right, what's the score? So I'm sitting trying to see how
I
many we
don't
got
know.
left.
I just know I have 4.
Landrum has 5, Molly has 4, I have 2.
Okay. I've got 2 more on here.
Okay, so this is just y'all's race now.
So if Landrum nails it,
yeah,
then
if he gets
Landrum
this one,
wins.
it's over.
Okay. What if you wanted just a good old Cubs baseball cap? Just a regular
Fitted
baseball
or
cap.
adjustable, Pat?
Adjustable. Snapback. Trucker version.
I'm trying to think, is that more expensive than a bobblehead? How much was the bobblehead? $2.20?
$2.25 on the bobblehead.
$2 for the hat.
$2 for the hat. How about you, Molly?
I'll go. You said $2?
Yeah.
I'll go $2.50.
$2.51.
$3.25. Landrum has been declared the winner of this week's Price is Right. So now he breaks the tie with Molly. He's now ahead of Molly, 3-2. Now, so we'll just for
fun.
Just for fun. If you were really in the mood to purchase an adult Cubs windbreaker,
Ooh.
That's not where I thought that was going, yeah.
If you were really in the mood, and then adult. I'll take the scented candle and some of the Ryan Sandberg lotion, please.
how much for the old Cubs windbreaker?
Windbreaker, not poncho.
$3.25.
I went second last time, so you got to go second.
You've already won.
As-
Hates in the barn.
Yeah.
As a champion, I think I should be
No,
able to have
I think
a
you
say
should go.
here.
No. See, he can't guess unless I guess first.
He already won, and
I've
he's
already done
thinking
that.
this hard.
Yeah, I know, but that's
I've
why
already
he
let
won.
off. I don't have to piggyback. That's strategy, Molly.
I don't care.
$5. $5.
I don't care.
$5.
Okay, he goes $5. What'd you go, Conrad?
$3.25.
Okay. Molly?
I'll go $4.
$4. $10.
That's expensive.
What?
The most expensive thing at the Chicago Cubs concession stand in 1975 was an adult windbreaker.
Wow.
$10. All right,
Who would have known?
that is Price is Right. We do that from time to time. Hope it was as much fun as it was for me to watch everybody yell at each other. More three-man front.
I
This
love
is
this
Jocks
game.
94.5. Yeah, I was Landrum yelling just a couple minutes ago, yelling a bunch of smack talk at Molly. Me and Conrad just had some words with Landrum. That was very uncalled of him to do that with our teammate.
Yeah, I just got back from tearing up in the
That was-
bathroom.
Appreciate you not filing those charges against him, corporately speaking. But
Well, we'll see.
So he's trying to give me a chip that's 5 years expired that has killed at least one child that we know of, and he's made Molly cry today. Not your best 4 hours, Landrum.
Molly, come on. Come on, Miles. Cheer
it's
up.
only been 2 hours and 51 minutes. to be
Cheer up,
exact.
kiddo.
See, that's even worse. That's even less time for all this to happen.
I did it.
I'm not a
Shaq
kiddo.
did it. It's a rite of passage. Now you'll do it. And you'll pass it on to your son.
That might have been the effects that Shaq had when he had run off stage
Maybe
this
that's
year. Maybe he's had that problem ever since the chip.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
Does it help if you're 7 feet tall and that large as far as processing?
I don't know. It gives it more time to go through, so it might honestly be worse.
Yeah, takes it longer.
Have,
Yeah,
you,
it takes
have you watched the clip yet of Shaq?
No, I haven't. I'll
Yeah,
have to
watch
go
that
look at
tonight.
it.
It's good.
Well, one thing's for sure, if you're a homeowner, you need to make sure that it's been properly waterproofed, and that's where APS can come in to help you today at 205-951-9717. APS, established back in 1977 to solve the most challenging issues around your home. Go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com, because they offer a wide range of just incredible services for you as a homeowner. It can stop water from coming in your house with the crawl space encapsulation system. They can help level up your driveway, your sidewalk, or if you got cracks in your foundation, they can do that as well with the poly-level system. APS, call them today, 205-951-9717.
Hey, you know what? And this is totally random, but I just thought about this. And every now and then, and I've learned to appreciate and just stop and smell the roses. I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate doing this with y'all every day. This is fun.
Aw.
It's good. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, and now what comes
I
after that?
prefaced it by saying this is really random. No, that was it.
That was nice.
This is just a fun group. I enjoy being around y'all. A lot of times it doesn't feel like work.
And listen, knowing that most of you all are not morning people, that's why I thanked you guys profusely for being there this morning at the breakfast that I emceed with Jim Cott.
Well, we're family.
That
I
meant a
enjoyed
lot.
it.
I looked up and saw a lot of friendly faces and a lot of people yawning and half asleep, but I appreciated that.
That's Conrad. He has to get up early.
It just feels like one of those things where there's something that's going to follow this
Nope.
that we're not going to be super happy
Nope.
about.
What do you mean, y'all? You think we're like buttering y'all up or something?
Well, I
I'm
mean,
just-
specifically
I'm
me.
enjoying this.
Okay. Well, I'm in it.
Yeah.
That was all.
That's very nice. I appreciate that. I enjoy doing the show with y'all as well most of the time. When you're not forcing poison down my throat.
Nobody's forcing anything.
No,
I
we don't do
I
that.
do want to ask something, and if you want to answer it, because
Oh,
it's,
here we go.
it's a medical issue.
See, this is
Well,
it.
this was something that Pat kind of brought up. We know about your deal with the peanuts, right?
Yeah.
If
Do I have other
if-
allergies?
no, but if anything was made in a facility that also produced peanuts, there's no peanuts in it, but it could have, like the dust or that would
No. Well, we just had peanut oil food.
Okay,
Yeah, no, so I'm all good.
All
Yeah,
right.
That stuff's fine.
that was a concern that we.
Thank you for asking. That
Yeah.
is very thoughtful. No, as long as it's not the actual peanut or peanut butter or something like that, yeah, I'm good.
Good.
We do have text coming in. We'll get into in the next hour. I do want to report though, and I haven't looked at the score, but I'm going to check it now, and I hope that you have not passed this along, Pat. Bottom of the 7th inning. Colorado 3. Marlins 0.
Oh my gosh.
Good thing you held on to
They
that
could do it.
$4.37.
It could happen. This
I
could
mean, this
happen.
is amazing. If you're a Rockies fan of that game right now, I mean, you're on cloud 9.
And bottom of the 1st. Angels beating the Red Sox 4-1 after that.
And they beat them on the field before the game.
Wait, it's already 4-1 in the bottom
Brush
of
up
the
there in
first.
batting
And
practice.
by the way, have it confirmed. It was a bench clearing brawl in warmups. So what we saw was the very beginning of both teams coming out there and doing their best pushing.
Tell me Wash put a cigarette out on somebody's face. I'm just kidding. I hope not.
Appreciate you tuning us in on this Wednesday. It's a pretty nice day. Hopefully some weather situations that's going to be coming up over the next couple of days. We'll get out of here before Sunday's Pack Protective Stadium. Skip Holtz will be one of our featured guests tomorrow on the program as he previews the USFL Conference Championship game. That's a 2 o'clock kickoff at Protective Stadium.
Well, let me tell you about Diamonds Direct because they are your go-to place for life's most meaningful moments with exceptional service and quality that stands the test of time. Their team is committed to building long-term relationships, and they're not just wanting to make a sale. They're going to take the time to understand your needs now and for in the future. I've been saying it, but I just went in and I was able to find the perfect piece for myself, not only that fit my style, but also that fit my budget. And when you are ready to upgrade whatever piece you might get, you'll receive 110% off your original purchase price, and that will go towards your new selection. And this is a signature perk that sets them apart from everybody else. So that's our friends over at Diamonds Direct.
So a little bit of bad news coming from the Zakai Ziegler trying to get a 5th season of competition. If you remember, he alleges the NCAA limits athletes like himself to 4 seasons of competition, and it violates antitrust law, and that athletes should be given 5 seasons of competition within their 5-year eligibility window. Ziegler contends he would earn as much as $4 million in NIL in 2025-26, since he's a well-known and successful college player from a prominent program. That's part of his lawsuit. Well, this week, the NCAA said enough is enough. We are going to fight back. On Monday, the NCAA motioned a federal judge to deny Ziegler's motion for an injunction. The NCAA's motion sends a warning that Ziegler's lawsuit could open the doors to numerous players staying on teams for years after they graduate and taking spots away from incoming freshmen. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does. Why stop it at 5 if you open Pandora's
go 6,
box?
Go 7.
Hey,
why not?
I'm just going to play here until they tell me to leave because you're limiting my earning potential.
Yep. Now, not only did the NCAA file that motion, but also the Justice Department. They've kind of chimed in on the NCAA's side of things. So just keep your eye on that. But here's where the meat of this lawsuit that got my attention. If you've ever been involved in litigation, there are nasty things said on both sides, right?
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the business. Listen to some of these things that the NCAA said about Ziegler. Said if Ziegler had a viable path to the NBA, given his resume, he would already be a prospect.
Yes.
And you know what? 100% fair.
Wait. I've just started.
Was that the soft stuff?
Just started.
That's awesome.
I'm reading directly. After all, NBA scouts would have seen him play in 138 collegiate contests. Oh, it goes on.
Again, facts.
There is no proof in the record that plaintiff was even invited to either the NBA Combine or the G League Combine this year. Got to be careful, man, when you kick that anthill over. Got to be careful. The NCAA also highlighted, and I'm quoting directly, there is no evidence that one more season of participation in college basketball is necessary for Ziegler to play pro hoops.
I love that. So you want to come back for another year, but it's not going to make a difference.
No, you're still not going to be able to knock down a meaningful 3 when it counts.
The NCAA believes that Ziegler manufactured an emergency when in reality he could have sued years ago, given the court time to review the case merits. Now, the U.S. District Judge Catherine A. Kritzer will hold a hearing on Ziegler's motion for a preliminary injunction this Friday at 1:45 Eastern Time in a Knoxville, Tennessee federal courthouse. So keep your eyes on that on Friday. But I just, for the life of me, reading this and slamming him like they did, where you had 138 opportunities to show the pros what you could do, and you didn't get invited to the NBA Combine or the G League Combine? What makes you think you're going to get one more year to give you a path to pro basketball?
I just wonder, with the Department of Justice weighing in on the side of the NCAA, if there's going to be more government entities that are like, you know what, enough's enough. I mean, even from time to time, you got tired of the coyote. At least I did. Getting the big anvil dropped on his head.
All the time.
And the NCAA has been a punching bag, and some of it rightfully so, but some of it.
I love it. If Ziegler had a viable path to the NBA, given his resume, he would have already been a prospect.
Well, it's great. Just like Landon said, everything they said is 100% true. You can't argue against it.
You wanted this.
Yep.
So we're going to lay it out.
Well, and that, what probably happened is somebody went, hey, they talked to, his representation and said, hey, so-and-so I was talking to said, yeah, we'd pay a guy like Zakai Ziegler $2 million if he was available. Maybe you should kick the tires on a lawsuit against the NCAA and see what happens. I mean, I guess, no shame in trying, but.
There is no evidence that one more season of participation in college basketball is necessary.
I just love that they had to add in that, yeah, we have no indication that you were going to get invited to even the G League Combine. That's
taking the gloves off, man. When you get when you
Good.
decide to start poking the bear, you better be careful. So we'll see what happens, because this might be a very friendly Vol Nation federal judge on Friday.
How does that go with his attorney calling Zakai?
Just ignore it.
Hey, Zakai, we just got this back.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it for you. All right, where are you? All right, sit down. Woo. Text line is open, 205-834-9450. Ah, we got a furry pic. Here you go.
Oh, yay. Oh, look how cute.
Yeah, little baby Boykin Spaniel.
Aw.
That's Molly.
Hi, Molly.
Yep.
What a stupid name. I'm
Jason
kidding. I'm
says
kidding.
Molly loves
It's a
listening to
joke.
three-man front on jocks, but
Aw.
always falls asleep when the topic comes to dumb lawsuits.
Me too. It's okay. We're a lot alike in that.
Oh, love it. Steve says, just a suggestion to make things fair and keep the same person from frequently waiting and guessing 1 cent over someone else's guess. You could have everyone write down their guess and then reveal and announce them in any order you wanted to. Or you could rotate through the guessing order so every person guesses first a third of the time, second a third of the time, and last a third of the time. I agree with the second one. The first one about
You wanna write them
pre-writing
down?
the answers, part of the entertainment is Molly getting so frustrated.
No.
Body likes to see little Molly get a little agitated. She never had a younger sibling,
No, I am the younger sibling.
so she's taking it out on me.
I am. It's kind of fun.
Josh in Huntsville, I eat peanuts completely, whole peanuts with the shell. Am I weird for that? I like the salty texture. Josh, one question. Do you chew on knives?
See, I just always thought isn't it bad to eat the shell? Obviously, I wouldn't know. I can't eat peanuts, but I just thought that was bad for
I don't
eat
want
the
that.
shell.
Yeah, I don't.
Plus, that seems like part of the fun of eating the peanut, right? Is cracking it open and
Cracking it.
it's like crab claws. Like half the fun, or crab legs, half the fun's opening them.
I ate a quarter of a bag of those peanuts when we went out to the Met. And did you see the pile that was beneath my feet that
Yeah,
I
I
had
thought
to
we were at a.
Yes.
casually kick under the Texas fan seat?
Yeah, I thought we were at Logan's. Yeah.
Welcome to Hoover.
Yeah, I did see you do that.
I didn't want them in my area. Fat Joe says, where was the breakfast being held and what time did it start?
It was at Regions Field at 7 a.m.
It was the Diamonds Direct Ballroom. Or whatever room. Right?
Sounds right. I believe you.
Yeah.
If not,
yeah.
shout out to Diamonds Direct.
Sure. It was on the other end of the stadium. I almost
You're
got
now a
lost.
corporate sponsor. I think it is the Diamonds Direct. But yeah, 7 o'clock, and it was great. Pat, since you're an umpire, can we hear your best strike three call?
Wow.
Whoa.
I'm gonna have to start going to you at Trustful baseball games.
That was like Dutch Rennert and I don't even know. What? Do it again.
I can't. I just messed my whole.
Because he was like,
It was just my whole throat now, just like you yelled at Molly.
So when you're going into one of these games, do you kind of have in your mind like, maybe I'm going to be a little more energetic today, or I'm going to be a little more, and you just kind of mentally, in terms of how enthusiastic your calls are going to be?
I don't call a lot of balls and strikes anymore. I've retired.
You don't call any balls and strikes anymore.
So, but yeah, I mean, you go in there. I mean, Landrum's been there. You're
trying to put on a show for the people.
No. You get behind a home plate and like you're telling them you better chop down the old light pole out in the parking lot because it's going to be from batter's box to batter's box because I want you to swing. You know, you're hunting strikes a lot of times unless you're playing like really high level travel ball stuff.
Yeah.
So
I never discriminated if it was an 8-year-old or an 18-year-old called third strike. I want to hurt your feelings.
You're going to be enthusiastic.
I had a guy I used to umpire with. He had a great call. He would basically say, "Oh no, you didn't swing. You out."
That's awesome.
I had a guy that I umpired with. He's good. He was country as a dirt road though. And the grammar that we would get.
Oh. Okay.
No, batter's out. He done give himself up. What? Oh. Eric sends in a picture of Sailor the cat.
Oh, let me see. Oh, cute.
Nice. Thank you for that.
This is my favorite when people send their pets.
Mabel coming in.
Oh,
Mini long-haired dachshund.
So cute.
Oh, she is pretty. This is. Am I at the stage of my life where, or maybe it's not a stage, maybe it's just me, but the puppy pictures just make me happier. What about you, Pat? Make you happier?
Nothing like a good old picture of a puppy.
And we have this. They no-sell slits then, old style only? I don't know. I was never into slits.
According to the menu from 1975, it was...
Oh, the sausages.
What you say? No, you're talking about beer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slits.
Oh, that was the beer. It just sounds like it'd be a sausage name.
It does. Kinda.
It sounds like a sausage.
You know what's funny? My grandfather, he lived on a lot of land and he had German Shepherds. And one of the German Shepherds growing up, his name was Slits. And I did not really, he had Bear, he had Shug, he had Slits. And I didn't realize it until later on. That's what Slits actually was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. BB says, Conrad, don't forget about the women's high heels.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing you got to do.
Oh, yeah.
That one I'm not as willing to do.
What?
I mean, we were right across the street from where BB wanted to take you to buy the shoes, and you wouldn't even go.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, you know.
Oh, Tim. Tim sends a picture of Levi.
That's an Australian sheepdog, right?
Looks just like Pharaoh. Wait a minute.
Wait a second. He's in his house.
Wait a minute.
He's in Conrad's house.
Oh, wow, that does look just like Pharaoh. Wow, beautiful dog.
And then Baxter.
Oh.
Hey, Baxter. Baxter's got a perm. All right, Conrad, sorry. But I got to read it.
Okay, what does it say?
Hey, Conrad, Bucky eats those chips before ball games. Suck it up and be a man. In case you're just joining us, One Chip Challenge is on the table. Conrad has agreed to do it. Now, the interesting thing is the
chip is
best
5 years
if used
expired.
by date is April 1st of 2020. But some people saying that could work into your advantage. maybe the spice is worn off. Yeah. And here's the thing. We'll never know. Well, we'll know. We'll know.
Maybe it's lost its potency.
If he doesn't have massive amounts of sweat coming out of his forehead and his face doesn't change color, then it's not working. Going back to the college football playoff system and transparency, when the strength of schedule, there are too many teams involved for any system to be fair. Consolidate the teams down, and playoff teams are based on record like the NFL. Tay says, my third strike call, you should have swung. Pulling the imaginary bow and arrow out of my back and firing to the outfield.
That's good.
Doing the Fernando Rodney to some 8-year-old kid.
You remember the Dutch runner call, though, right?
Absolutely.
He would.
Now, he would get... yeah, he would get all the way down and do that.
And he would do it for 9 innings plus if needed.
See, I respect that. That's a craft right there.
Josh, thank you. Papi Chulo. That's a cute dog. I wish you listeners could see these pics. Jody says deep fried peanuts are the best. You can eat the shell and all. I've had those. Justin said Pat sounded like the Phantom of the Umpire. He did. There was a little bit of opera in there.
A little bit.
A little falsetto.
Yeah, it's pretty. All right, just keep them rolling in. Dutch runner or Dutch Rennert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Old school.
I couldn't spell it. I could try. Oh, Addie Mae Grace. Molly, you got to check out all these pictures. We'll show them to you in the break. Keep them coming in. A lot of these text your favorite pup picks. That's become popular here in the summertime.
Well, you need to take advantage of a free roof inspection from Abide Roofing. AbideRoof.com is the website. 205-922-7134. That number is going to get you directly to Travis Lloyd, and he and his local roofing team, they can schedule a meeting immediately. They can come out, they can assess what's going on with your roof and make sure that you don't have any loose shingles. If you've got a little bit of leaking going on in your attic, that attic problem could lead to more problems on your sheetrock inside your house. So that's why it's important to get that free roof inspection. No strings attached. There's no pressure. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going on up on top of your roof. And if you do need a new full roof replacement like I did, they can handle that. They can deal with your insurance company. They can meet with the adjusters, because that's what Travis Lloyd and his team did for me. I 100% trust these guys. You should too. 205-922-7134. That's abideroof.com.
We'll continue. We still got some Pat Ponders to do. More of your texts, more of your pup pics. And if you're celebrating a 100th birthday or older, you can send those pictures in as well. Three Man Front, Jocks 94.5.
We've been following an ongoing situation in Miami, Florida, if you're just now tuned in which the Colorado Rockies are trying to do something that they have not done in a very long time, and that is win 3 baseball games in a row. They're going for a 3-game sweep against the Miami Marlins. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning, and Colorado, with a record of 11-50, 5-28 away from Coors Field, they are beating the Marlins 3-2. Bottom of the 8th inning.
Oh. Come on, Rocks.
Could this be the day?
Oh, man. You think last night's party was big? That plane trip home. Because I think, if memory serves, you got the day off tomorrow if you're the Rockies. Then you open up a homestand against the Mets.
Ooh.
But go ahead and get it all out of your system right now. The pictures keep coming in. Nate, you texted into the show. Thank you, man. We wouldn't be able to do it without great listeners like you. So thank you. That meant a lot.
Do you realize they are in Atlanta on Friday, June 13th, June 14th?
I do
15th?
because I priced tickets. Well, I didn't price. I priced tickets, but I also priced Omni Hotel because that falls around my anniversary. And
was it economical based on the fact they're playing the Rockies?
It was more economical than
the Boston Red Sox.
The
series?
Boston Red Sox,
that makes
or
sense.
Name most any other team.
Hey, the Rockies could still go 112-50. I'm just saying.
There's a chance.
It's on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of bummed out, though, if they start playing better. You know?
I mean, listen,
does it make you feel better as a Braves fan or just like the general story?
I was a little bummed out when Georgetown broke their conference losing streak. And when Missouri won a basketball game.
When Detroit Mercy won that basketball game on that fateful night.
Yeah. It was fun to follow every day. Like, how close did they come?
All right, they go to the 9th. So they're 3 outs away.
I'm sure they'll blow it.
Let me see if I can get a live line on that.
Get a live line.
They might have already pulled it.
I'm with y'all, though, what you were talking about earlier. If they didn't do it last night, if you win this game, you're blowing it out in Denver tonight. I don't know what you're doing, but you're going like you just won the World Series. That's what tonight's celebration
if you're the
is.
owner of the team, you're like, I don't know what. Look, normal plane, no. We're going to do something like the Red Sox and the Yankees flew over to England.
Oh, yeah. Have a party plane.
Party plane.
Rockies are minus 500 on the money line.
Do we have the rights where we can do a live look-in?
Unless a Cumulus station owns the rights.
So.
Probably not. So there's a money-making venture. You could take your, instead of, this is what you need to do. Because you're going to take your $4 and whatever cents it is.
And I got to take the Pacers plus the.
But that's tomorrow night.
Whatever.
So tonight you have an opportunity to win a little money so you can put even more on the Pacers.
This is how it starts, isn't it?
No, it's not. This is how it's called investments.
Okay. So what do you want me to do?
Go Marlins plus 350. Triple your money.
Right now?
Yeah.
Who's coming up?
Hold on, I'll tell you.
Okay, they're top of the 9th. You got McMahon at the plate for the Rockies.
It looks like the Marlins will be top of their order, like 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Lopez, Ramirez, and Nordby.
Yeah, Lopez is already batted. He batted in the bottom of the 8th.
Okay.
So you got
Ramirez, Norby, and Wagerman.
Mm-hmm. And those individuals are collectively 2 for 9 on the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the Marlins right now.
Okay.
I'm pulling for the sweep.
I'm just giving you an opportunity.
12-50, it's a whole new season if you win this one.
Well, they'll at least have the tiebreaker over the Marlins.
If you're a Marlins fan, I mean, all 7 of you.
Yeah, they announced the other night it was like 5,300 and something. And did you see that on social media where somebody actually the picture that was sent out?
Oh, and they like tried to count.
And they actually counted. They said there was 137 people in the picture.
that one's wild to me because you would think Miami would be, and I get they're not very good, but even, I mean, I know it's Tampa versus Miami, but even when the Rays have been the class of the American League, like nobody goes to the games, and even with the Marlins when they've had good players, it just people don't want to go.
I'll be honest with you, in being at that stadium, that is not the best location.
Nothing special.
Now, when I say best location, I'm not inferring that, it's like a crime. It's not like South Central Los Angeles or anything like that.
It's like
just
going to an industrial park area outside of if I'm remembering it correctly.
It's a little Cuba. It's a little
No,
Cuba.
I'm thinking about the football stadium. Just
you're thinking about
that's Hard Rock.
Hard Rock.
Yeah, that's out in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
like they would build a plant, like an aluminum plant, and then a baseball field.
Yeah, it's like off a turnpike.
Or a football field.
It might be off the Florida Turnpike, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
right. The baseball field. We saw the outside of it, went by it, but
the baseball field actually sits on the site of the old Orange Bowl.
That's right.
Football stadium. It's a beautiful venue inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great place to watch a baseball game. But just like everything else, location, location, location. A lot of people just don't want to go to Little Cuba and watch a baseball game.
I do remember,
especially when it's a bad baseball team.
I do remember listening to a Braves radio broadcast a couple of years ago on Jock 94.5, and it was a doubleheader that they had that day, and they were complaining and saying, if you want more fans to come to the game, they were making you pay parking for both games.
Oh my!
Where you had
both games.
You had
what?
Yeah. So for the doubleheader, you could either pay before, you had to go back out, and you had to pay again to keep from getting a ticket.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that was their point on the broadcast is you want to get more. Why don't you be a little more fan friendly to the people that are actually coming to watch the game that aren't Braves fans?
It's a great point.
Yeah.
So speaking of baseball, we were telling you, and you'll see the clip later if you have not had an opportunity, but apparently in pregame batting practice and warmups between the Angels and the Red Sox, there was a bench clearing situation. It looked like some video that we saw that some of the coaches were going back and forth. It appeared that it was something about maybe Boston and the Angels were taking umbrage with maybe one team not getting off the field quick enough for the other team to start their workouts or whatever the case may be. Some coaches got involved. Well, as of right now, they're in the bottom of the third inning, and the Angels lead 7-5, and there's already been 14 hits through 2.5 innings.
I saw you last night talking to my best girl there at the Speakeasy. I'm not going to let that go, Jimmy. Put up your dukes.
The
Angels like men.
Angels only 4 games under 500.
They've been playing good baseball.
They're above
since May.
500 on the road.
They've been good. They were good in May.
Mike Trout back from the injury, and he has been on fire.
Yeah, that's always been his problem.
But he'll be good for a month.
I know that breaks my heart with him too, because he's again just one of those guys. If you love the game of baseball, that's a guy you want to see healthy. And he was on trajectory. I really thought at one point he might be the best baseball player of all time, and then injuries just kind of.
My vote is if Brian Snitker elects to go, I want Ron Washington.
I thought you were going
the next man.
to say they should trade for Mike Trout.
Why not? No, you got to wait until he's like 39.
That's right.
Give him a 2-year guaranteed $40 million.
Yeah, there you go.
For the 60 games that you get out of him.
But you would seriously, Ron Washington, if Snitker's gone, that would be your guy. I love Ron Washington.
Players love him. Dude knows baseball.
No nonsense.
No nonsense. Stick up for his guys. And look, everybody's got a past, but I think Ron Washington would be really good for that club.
And obviously familiar with a lot of those guys still. So
one thing is for sure, different personalities in the way that ball teams are run, but I would say Ron Washington will not have a lack of answers in a press conference.
That is correct. More three-man front. This is Jocks 94.5. It's 135, Jocks 94.5. I will be off Thursday and Friday. I got some moat work that needs to be done.
Save the Gators.
Got a lot of weed eating, got a lot of things I got to do to clean it up.
I would like hourly updates, please.
Be
With
environmentally
pictures.
friendly.
I want pictures.
So this will be my last Pat Ponders for the week. I guess I'll hand the mantra off to Molly.
Do we get Molly marinades?
So Molly will have to figure out some stuff to ask you guys.
I can come up with some questions.
Are you going to give her a couple of the BB questions?
No, the BB questions are mine.
Ooh.
No.
Mine.
I wasn't a very good teammate right
No,
there.
not going to share.
It's okay.
Oh, by the way, we did have another text in saying that BB's cake was absolutely outstanding.
It was very good.
And I've got a piece of cake, and you just might be out of luck this time.
That's okay.
I mean, we had
It's never good when they start that way.
No.
No.
I took a piece home because BB gave it, said, "Hey, this is for Molly." So, like, we all dispersed yesterday. You went to Rickwood. I went back to Trustful. You were parts unknown.
Yes.
And Molly wasn't there. So, and then this morning we were all at breakfast, and then we all came straight to work after breakfast. So, I didn't have a way to get her the fresh
No, it's
cake.
okay. It's okay.
Molly, I think Pat should drive up here tomorrow just to bring you the cake and then go back home.
No, I'm not going to make him do that.
Well,
Or she could just drive to Trustful and get it.
She could also drive to Trustful and get the cake.
She could put the waders on and get out in the moat.
No, I've got plans tonight.
No, I said tomorrow. Not tonight.
And tomorrow.
And tomorrow.
Oh.
She's washing her hair.
About time.
That was last night.
I watched mine last night.
Oh, no.
That's so weird.
So did Conrad.
I watched
Yeah,
mine
he
this
did.
morning.
He watched this morning.
All right, let's do some Pat Ponders brought to you by Courtesy GMC.
I wanna know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Go to courtesybirmingham.com. Check out 9 acres of inventory right there online. Check them out. Go by and see them. I-459 exit 32. Question number 1. You're now in charge of the college football kickoff times for ESPN ABC. So what times are you going with? Do you keep the ones they currently have, the 11, 2:30, and 6:30, or do you shake it up a little bit, have an earlier morning kickoff, change it to 1 o'clock, then 4, and then 8? What do you think?
I'm so trained now. I like the 11, the 2:30, and the 6:30. 11 to me, if we're going to SEC games, I'm saying away from what we do, if I'm just going back college football fan, 11 o'clock gives me everything that I need to do that morning, get all my stuff done in time to get in place to watch a full day of college football. Plus, you're going up against we know who. So, yeah, steal their lunch money every single Saturday.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of like Landrum. I like the 11. I like getting right out of game day and having something going on right then. And like you said, you get a good SEC game, and then you also get to enjoy whatever that other conference has going on that week. And then 2:30, that's just the normal. We're used to that with CBS. That was always the primetime SEC. And I don't mind 6:30. I wouldn't be opposed if you wanted to do a 7 or 7:30.
7:30 would be okay.
I would be fine with that for the game day game.
8 o'clock is kind of the what. That's when I wouldn't. Oh no,
Because that's 9 Eastern.
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
9 Eastern.
7:30 is the
7:30,
latest I would want
yeah.
it to be.
See, 7:30 is the latest I would want it to be, and then I don't think, especially for Central Time, I would want to do anything earlier than 11, because when you think about, obviously that's noon Eastern, but then you go into the Mountain and the Pacific. Now, obviously they're not watching as much college football as we do, but there still are some fans out there that like to enjoy, and so I feel like 11's kind of that, at least 11 Central is kind of that sweet spot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For that early game.
I will say I maybe could be talked into if you had, because I really like during the NFL season when you're like, I can wake up at 7:30 on a Sunday and watch this international game. So maybe you have one game every weekend that starts at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. So
I
you have
pushed
that
that
early morning
when the
game.
Pac-12 was still in existence. I wanted to see them crank up. Now it would have been really early out there, but based on the interest in some of those stadiums, it wouldn't have mattered.
No.
Yeah, give me a 8:30
But I
Central
just need one. Just
AM
one.
kick.
Yeah. Just one.
Question number 2. Do you love or hate that a second-tier program like Texas Tech is making a name for itself by spending booster-funded NIL money like the big boys in softball and football?
Oh, I love it just from the spirit of the experiment and seeing what would happen. I always wondered about a program if they had a wealthy donor like this guy out there. I forget what his name is. Cody
Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was passionate about it. If he infused a whole lot of his wealth or some of his wealth, what would happen and how much it would improve the athletic department just based on brand and historically what they've done. So I love it. Now, I don't know if it becomes commonplace where you don't have billionaires at every school, but I'll take the one off. I just wonder, when does he decide, you know what, that was fun, that was cool, but I'm not going to do it anymore?
See, I look at it like it's all fun and games right now until, and this may not happen, but let's say you got into a scenario where Texas Tech won 5 straight national championships in college football, and you get to the point where you're like, okay, this has gotten too overboard to where they're just outspending everybody every year. But for example, like what you got with softball this year, I think that's awesome. They said, hey, we want to be good at softball. We're going to go get the best pitcher on the market. We're going to pay her a lot of money. And now you find yourself in the College World Series finals. So I think from that standpoint, I'm still fine with it right now. But like you, if it gets more prevalent, then that's going to go away.
I mean, there's a line. If it gets too out of hand, then maybe. But if you have a wealthy alum who's extremely passionate and spirited about that program, then why not? Especially if they've got the money.
We've already seen it at I don't know about smaller level, but as far as where they're putting their money in facilities and coaches and now probably NIL, but a school like Liberty. Think about Liberty as an athletics program before, would it be fair to say 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And then look what they're doing across sports.
Absolutely.
And they're competitive and everything.
Next question. On this date in 1974, the city of Seattle was awarded an NFL expansion franchise. The Seahawks joined Tampa as the new teams for 1976. Memphis and Phoenix were also considered in 1974, but they decided to go with Seattle and Tampa. So my question is, what NFL city, in your opinion, doesn't deserve a current NFL franchise? I'll start. For me, when I was writing this question, the one that just screamed out at me was Cincinnati.
I was thinking Jacksonville. Put them in London.
I was going to say Jacksonville. And I know we have Jaguars fans here. I know Hennessy's not here anymore, but it's Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's up there.
I'm going to go Los Angeles. You don't need to. Send the Chargers back to San Diego.
I agree.
See, I almost thought about New York as well, and I understand it's a huge market like LA, but you have 2 really bad franchises right now. Move on.
That's why for the Steelers and the Penguins to win championships in the same year, which is a rare feat. That's impressive. Mm-hmm. But when the Lakers and the
Clippers?
The Lakers and the I'm trying to think, Angels win a championship. Well, if you have 19 professional franchises under the umbrella of LA, is it really that significant?
See, and I've never even I understand the location. I don't consider the Angels an LA team. I know that they should probably be, but they're always separate from me.
I just cluster everything in California outside of San Diego and Tahoe is the same. Sorry.
I know you're a big Sacramento Kings fan.
I liked the Kings back in the day.
I liked them when they were in Kansas City. I've gone to Kansas City Kings NBA games.
You really?
Yeah. Kemper Arena. Yep.
I liked Sacramento back in the day, that dark arena.
Reggie
had a really
Theus.
tight camera shot.
Remember Reggie Theus?
Yeah.
Reggie Theus played for the
Vladdy.
Kansas City Kings.
Running up and down the court. Physical specimen.
Final question, courtesy of BB. If there is one piece of clothing or a type of footwear that you would never wear again, what would it be? Hey, I just read them. I didn't come up with that one.
I'm not going to give you the real answer. Go ahead, Molly.
Is it from your dancing days?
No.
Oh,
See,
okay,
mine
it's not
actually.
that.
Well, mine is, but in a different type of dancing. Point shoes. I hated point. Like I liked point, but the shoes and what they did to your feet, not fun.
I mean, see, I was gonna go like sliding shorts, but that comes with
Paige,
an
this is
accessory.
make my butt look fat.
But there's an accessory that goes with that makes it where you don't really want to wear it. So I don't know. I guess socks. If I never had to wear socks again, I wouldn't.
See, back in the old days, me and Landrum didn't have sliding shorts. We had to use the old.
You just had the hammock. Yeah. See, I'm glad I never had to.
That was
never-
actually my answer.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah, the hammock.
It's really uncomfortable.
Yeah, the hammock. And it was it was Braves licensed.
Dang.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a stocking.
Stuffer.
Is that a banana hammock? No, it's a Braves hammock, actually. Common mistake.
All right, that's this week's Pat Ponders for me.
Very uncomfortable.
Molly will take over the rest of the week. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful.
I look great in it, though. We continue. 3-man front. The worst thing I've seen. Conrad has seen. Next. 150 three-man front, JocksFM.com. That's where you can find the podcast. Appreciate Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider. Also, John Talty discussing the future of college football, the college football playoff, and, of course, all of your interaction here on the show on the Jocks text line. That sound means there's breaking news here on the show, and for more, we send it to Pat Smith, the breaking news desk. Pat, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Landrum, South Beach, Florida. That is the scene of today's breaking news as the Colorado Rockies have just swept the Miami Marlins for their first three-game sweep since May 13th through 15th of 2024 when they did it against the San Diego Padres. They're still 12-50. They are on pace for a 31-131 record, but they have an honest to good chance of a really nice winning streak. They're now at 3. But they're still on pace for 31-131 as their overall record. So, but
not bad.
I mean, think about it.
112-50 still on the table, boys.
They only had won 9 games before they stepped foot there at the wonderful baseball yard in Miami. And they left with 3 more games.
A third of your previous total.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's impressive.
It's huge.
Good for the Rockies. Now
They're still on the trajectory of being the second worst baseball team in the history of the sport.
And our buddy Keller, who's a Rockies fan, who's kind of pulling for the record.
I mean, at this point, you kind of have to, right? Like, okay, so Molly, back in the day, when the Lions went 0-16, was there ever a point where you kind of it's cooler to be 0-16 than 1-15, right?
I mean, it's history, whether or not you like it.
Yeah.
I'm like that. If we're going to be bad, let's be historic.
Yeah, be really, really bad.
Because last is last. But at least people will remember.
I was about to say, people remember when you go 0-16. They're not going to remember the year you went 2-14.
Yeah, I paid money. I paid good money to go watch that team lose. I remember those days. Almost every single day, Pat, Conrad, myself, Molly, we see bad things, unfortunately. Conrad has seen something. This is the worst thing that Conrad's seen.
This is the worst thing I've seen.
Been in quarantine, and I need to get out and party. Woo! What's better than beach and a few drinks and Jeeps? Man, it can't get better than that. Law enforcement's definitely made their visitability and made people chill out and not be as crazy. The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy, baby.
All right, well, for the worst thing that I have seen today, we are going to head outside of the continental United States. We're going to go to Thailand. We actually had somebody bring up Thailand on the text line earlier, so we're going to go back there for a very interesting story. So earlier, it looks like this was earlier today or late yesterday, where a convenience store owner in Thailand was caught off guard when a wild animal entered the convenience store. Now, if you are familiar with Thailand, there's a lot of monkeys there, things like that. You could see a monkey going into a convenience store grabbing a candy bar, right? Well, what if it wasn't a monkey? What if it was an elefante?
What?
Yes. So one Thailand convenience store owner was caught off guard when an elephant walked into the front door of his local convenience stop using its trunk to move a freezer and help itself to some of the sweet treats located inside. According to the store owner, it's not unusual to see elephants pass by the shop, but that one had never approached the store like this before. The park rangers were called to the scene. They were able to get the elephant removed from the convenience store, but not before it had consumed several bags of dried bananas and peanut-flavored snacks. So there is your worst thing I've seen from a convenience store owner in Thailand who... I mean, I guess you're not going to get recompensated for the...
How many racks and end caps did that elephant destroy and knock over? What size was this elephant?
Well, based on the picture I'm looking at right now, I mean, this looks like... It looks like an adult elephant, not a baby. I mean, this thing is massive. You can go and find a video on social media, but it is trampling.
I was going to do an impression of convenience store worker as elephant entered, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Something nudged me not to. That's going to do it for us. We appreciate you listening today. We got a busy Thursday coming up. Rodney Orr, Rob Pate, and a lot of fun. Pat, enjoy yourself.
Come
From
send me in
all
the
of us-
moat. Come hang out.
To all of you, just remember, God is great. Paul Feinbaum is next.